today is about three nuns traveling together. And on the particular day of this particular story, they had traveled through a deep wood and crossed a rather shallow river. And on the banks of the river were beautiful, smooth, dark stones. Now, nuns of that day traveled with their robes and a mending kit and their begging bowls, and really nothing else. They saw the stones by the banks of the river, and each of them bent down to pick one up. These stones were so smooth and so shiny and so beautiful. They looked at each other. And the oldest one said, "We will carry these stones with us. And as we carry them, we'll chant. And wherever we come to rest tonight, we will leave these chanting stones behind." So they each picked up a stone, and as they walked, they chanted. This is a chant that you know, so you might want to chant along with the nuns. They were chanting, "Ma, ma, 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 ma," all the while holding the stone, ma, ma, hold the stone and they would say, "Mind is friend." Can you say that? Mind is friend. And then they would keep chanting as they walked. They held their stones and they said, "Mind is trust." And they kept chanting, holding that stone. Sometimes they would rub their thumb on the stone. It was so beautiful and smooth. Just putting the energy of that chant right into it. Once more, really paying attention to the stone and saying, "Mind is love." Can you say that?
Mind is love.
So all the long afternoon they walked and they chanted and they held these smooth black stones. And as it was getting to be late afternoon, finally they saw in the distance a village. And they thought to themselves, "Oh, good. This is a place where we can spend the night. We have our begging bowls. Perhaps we can also get a meal." Well, as they walked towards the village and got closer, they saw an interesting thing. All through the village, doors were shutting and curtains were being drawn over windows, and children were being called inside. And they looked at each other and wondered what had happened. The youngest nun said, "I am sure that this village has been caught in the wars that have been going on. They are right on the boundary of the country. Ah, three nuns nodded. The next oldest nun said, I am sure that this village also was subjected to the flooding. There has been so much rain and water. Perhaps times have been really, really hard here. And they all nodded. And the oldest nun said, I think that they may be suffering from a sense of lack. And they all nodded. This village does not know the path to happiness, said the oldest nuns, and they all agreed that that was true. Still, they held their begging bowls in their hands, and they went through the streets, and they stood in front of houses. No windows opened, no doors opened, no food was offered. Curtains rustled, but no one came outside. Ah, said the oldest nun, I think it is time that we make some stone soup. So they took their stones out and held them in their hands. And they changed their chant just a little bit. Stone soup, stone soup, stone soup. 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 What could be more delicious than stone soup? Well, the parents had tried very hard to keep all the children inside, but one little girl had snuck out. She went around to where the nuns were singing and she said, I have never eaten stone soup. Oh, said the nuns, that is something that we could fix on this very day. Really, said the little girl. Why, yes, said the nuns. All we need is a big pot to cook it in. Now, this little girl was very resourceful. She went back in through the back door of the cottage, and she asked her older brother, may I take the cooking pot? And he said, I don't care. Nuns went and collected firewood. They put it all together and they started a fire. And by now there were more people peeking out of their windows, curtains lifting. Now, a young boy not much older than the young girl came out and he said, why would you put the pot on the fire when it is empty? Ah, they said, it is not empty. It is full of air, but if you could get us some water, that would be much better. Ah, I can do that, he said. And he ran to the well, and he drew 3 buckets of water. And they put the water into the big pot, put the pot over the fire, and then very carefully, each nun lowered her stone into the pot. Ah, said each one, this is going to be some good stone soup. And they started singing again. Stone soup, stone soup, stone soup. Stone soup, stone soup, stone soup. how in every village there's usually an old woman who likes to know everything that's going on. So from out of her house came a woman, her apron still on, patches in the skirt of her dress. And she came over to where the nuns and the children were cooking the stone soup. And she said, "What is it that you are making?" I said, "Soup from stones." "Well, that is a very good thing for poor people to know how to do," said the old woman. "Yes," said the nuns. "Can you smell it? Doesn't it smell delicious?" And the old woman smelled the memory of soup coming through the air. She said, "Oh, I think it does. Can I help?" And the nun said, "Well, if we had some salt, maybe some pepper, maybe a little bit of barley." Now the old woman, when she had seen the nuns coming, had hidden any food she had in her house. But she felt now that she might be able to find it. So she went home, she got some salt and some pepper, and 2 cups of barley, and she brought it back. And together they put it into the pot, which was starting to get warm, starting to boil. "Oh," said the nuns, "look at this stone soup going. I think it'll be ready in not too long a time." So now there was a little crowd. There were 3 nuns, a girl, a boy, an old woman. 6 people gathered on the town green. People were looking out of their windows because their habit had been to hide themselves away. It had been very, very dangerous outside. So everyone had hidden whatever they had and hidden themselves and tucked the children away and not come out. But here were 6 children, 6 people on the town green singing. Very hesitantly, an old farmer came out. The old woman said, "They're making stone soup." Soup from stones. This is something very good for poor people. We need to know how to make it. You should pay very close attention. And the farmer said, "Oh, soup from stones. Yes, I do want to know how to do that." He too smelled the memory of soup from days past. And he said, "I think that stone soup smells delicious." "Oh yes," they said. It's going to be delicious, and now if we only had some onions." "Ah," said the farmer, I might have some onions." He went home and he came back with 4 onions and a chopping board and a knife, and he sat there and chopped the onions up and put them in the soup. Well, you can imagine more and more people were gathering. Everybody really was able to smell the future of this stone soup. A young woman said, "Oh, this stone soup, it smells so good." And the oldest nun said, "Yes, if we had a carrot or 2. She might have hidden a few carrots in her cupboard." She went home and got them. The neighbor next door was reminded that she had some rutabagas underneath the sink. Some of the children went out to pick wild sorrel from the hills. Everybody remembered a place where they could find some kind of vegetable or grain that they could add to the stone soup. Pretty soon, the whole village was gathered pot. And it was smelling really good. It wasn't just the memory of old soup. It was this soup right here, right now. We need a table, yelled one of the villagers, and a table appeared. And then there came a beautiful tablecloth, many colors. And everyone brought dishes from their houses. Ah, this soup is so perfect. If only we had some bread, said one of the nuns. Lo and behold, that baker had loaves of bread stashed away in the back of his house. A woman remembered that she had made some butter because her cow had recently calved, and she had milk as well. They put a little bit of the milk in the stone soup, put the bread on the table, and the nuns asked if anyone had maybe a ladle that they could use to help share the soup. Well, somebody did. The whole town started singing, stone soup, 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 stone soup. In this stone soup is the path to happiness, said the oldest nun. I wonder if you can discover where that path lies. They ladled soup into everyone's bowl